If your concrete pool deck or patio looks like this, dirty with mildew and almost black, but you really want it to look like this, clean, bright, appealing, then you're watching the right video. Welcome back to part 2 of my pool deck restoration project. In part 1, we went through and we patched up the concrete cracks, we pressure washed it, we came back with a etcher and cleaner and scrubbed it up real good, and you'll see that there was quite a big difference between the existing concrete and what it looks like right now. So today's project is going to be continuing to prep the concrete and to prime it. But first, let's do a little recap. We're going to talk about the products that I'll be using, give you a look at that. And don't forget that at the end of the series, at the end of video 3, is going to be a whole section on tips and lessons learned, because I've learned quite a bit about using these products and some tricks on how to save you some time and effort while you're doing your own project. The products I'll be using is this Behr Porch and Patio anti-slip porch paint, some of the Behr concrete bonding primer, the Rust-Oleum clean and etch for the concrete, and liquid concrete crack filler by DAP. You'll need some 3/8 inch rollers. You might want some paint tray liners. I've got some knee pads and of course a brush to do the outline painting of each section. The whole point behind prepping your concrete and doing a great job is to make sure you get maximum adherence to the top coat when you put that paint on. So you want to make sure you've got all of the dirt and all of the dust and up from the concrete. So if you can run your hand across your concrete and there's any dust, you may want to go back and rinse that again. In my case, I do have a little bit of sand and some residue on the deck. I could use a leaf blower and blow it off, but with my screen enclosure, I would probably just be blowing that dirt back into the pool. So I'm going to use a shop vac and try to get that up. Okay, so the shop vac does a very good job and it's quick. So I'm going to go through and vacuum this end of the pool here, and then I'm going to come back and show you how we're going to prep the concrete to put down the primer. I'm going to tape off all of the expansion joints and these end concrete drains here. I have seen where some people just paint right over, and the label on the paint clearly states that the paint will not adhere to vinyl. So that's another reason to cover these over. And I think it just looks so much better to have the expansion joints with their natural color. It adds a little bit of contrast to the decking. When you're taping these smaller expansion joints, you can put a strip of tape down and then come back with a putty knife and tuck that in along the edge. And that will give you a good coverage of the plastic and leave the concrete exposed. The primer is this Behr concrete and masonry bonding primer. And this comes in a gallon container. And it needs to be stirred up real well. It says for all coating surfaces, it must be clean, dry, and free of any dirt or grease. Once you put the primer down, it has to dry for at least 4 hours before you can paint on top of it. And then it has to be painted before 30 days. So you've got up to 30 days to get your final coating on. It's a real thin solution, so I don't think it's going to take very much to get it mixed up thoroughly. I've got this 3-inch brush and I'll use that to do the cut in with. Since it is a primer, there's hardly any color to it at all, so it's a little bit difficult to see where you've primed and where you haven't. You can also apply this with a sprayer, which I think would probably be a very good idea to do that. You can easily tell what's been primed and what has not, because the primer, it dries looking a real pale gray color. And I just thought that working with this primer is about the consistency of milk. Okay, the primer's down in this first section, going from here around the end of the pool, right over to that last taped in section. I did not get to finish that because I ran out of primer. Only opened 1 gallon of primer, and that's what it covered right there. 1 gallon. I got more primer, and I'll finish that off once all of this dries.